in exactly the right position at the right time. We are going to jump straight into Champion Select for game number 2. Of course, playing on the minds of Newbee. They had that game in the bag, but were unable to close it out. You can see EDG changing up the bans a little bit now that they do have that blue side. So Nidalee going to leave. They're going to ban the Malzahar from blue, force the Vladimir ban out of Newbee, as Rek'Sai and Karma were the ones to go. Sivir, a lot of priority given here to Deft. They are to lock this one in.
So here's the thing. I'm not too sure if Newbee had the time to reconvene and just kind of reset mentally, right? Because that was devastating. And on top of that, Swift sees that he gets the Nidalee banned away from him. Usually Nidalee a purple side ban. You don't want to get pressured from it early, but you know what? EDG's like, we're not going to play it. And we know specifically you will look to play and look to pressure early. We're just going to opt out of it. And honestly, Nidalee is turning into, I don't want to say a niche champion, but a champion that is not finding her way right now in this meta.
Yeah, just doesn't really have that late game presence, although Swift was doing the best that he possibly could. Those late game team fights did feel like they could go either way. And with the fact that Newbee built their comp around poke, around this really high range, allowed her to find relevance. But you're right, she hasn't found the success that we've been expecting, and the Hecarim now being looked at on the side of Newbee in response to this Sivir first pick, and Braum as well was banned in game number 1. Of course, Moore's most played champion, if we have a look at last season as well. Currently, Bard sitting as his most played.
Yeah, and so Hecarim, of course, now we're talking about the meta. Hecarim is the meta. You can go top lane with it. I know V probably put in a few games in solo queue for it, and you can bring it in the jungle just as well. Hecarim is a strong pick. And so the thing with Nidalee, right, is that her late game isn't all too strong. This was probably a good example of it kind of falling forward, right? Not really being able to put as much of an impact as she should have been able to. But that's what happens if you don't have that many frontliners. You can't look to team fight. You have to commit to the poke. And I don't think they played to their comp as correctly as they should have. And so, of course, now we see the Sivir taking away first pick. Alistar Maokai, right?
Yeah, exactly. So Alistar Maokai coming in right afterwards.
Yeah.
Denial from V, so making sure that he can't be on that big burly tank towards the top side. And Mouse going to go back to his tank play. We've spoken about him as being a very versatile role player. Well, definitely taking another shoe this time.
And so now EDG feels comfortable going straight back into the teamfight composition if the Nidalee is outright banned. And it looks like they're flexing the... No, actually, if they lock in this Trundle, that's a
top lane Trundle.
Yeah.
And we'll be able to subjugate down the Maokai as well. So very, very useful. Of course, V's most played champion as well towards the top side of the map. So we'll know the inside and outs of that matchup. Now EDG to round out their composition. Dade can jump back on that one if it isn't picked away here from Scout.
Something I want to take a look at this game. You have, now it's Jhin Braum. Jhin Braum's fairly strong, especially up against Alistar Sivir. Braum is incredibly good against Alistar, can kite right back and poke him right down, because of course you have strong skirmish in that sense. They have a
really love Desir here.
Yeah, Victor's great too. Oh, Kindred though.
Yeah, Kindred picked up from Clearlove.
So
stepping back to it.
So going back to the bot lane, I want to see if Newbee can actually look to get leads, because they have a positive matchup. If they get the standard lanes again, then I don't want to see them falling down 20 CS. But the Kindred coming straight back is interesting, because she had a lot of nerfs in terms of her survivability. You straight up look at her, and she's dead. But, really strong in terms, as you said, if they had Azir Kindred used to be the go-to composition.
Yeah.
But this is pretty interesting. And I love the fact that he's hovering
the Veigar.
The Veigar, because...
Is it even a hover, or is he actually considering it here for Dade?
Hey, last time they played,
we
saw the Kindred. We saw the Veigar, and he locks it in.
Yeah, there it is. Dade going to take it for the second time here in the LPL Summer Split.
Every time he takes it, it's up against EDG. And EDG hasn't been doing so well up against the bottom 5 teams. They have a really good record, really strong record, and I'm talking about games, not sets. EDG is pretty much have not lost a set, but the games themselves, they have been losing a few to
LGD, OMG, both of the bottom tier teams in Group B managed to take a game off this team.
Yeah, so teams that primarily they take the early game, they strike them, and hey, if they can convert it, then that's fine. But I really want to see if EDG can pretty much take the early game and not fall behind. They have the Kindred. It might be possible, but we'll see if she can survive it.
Yeah, the thing that I love about this from Newbee is Dade saying basically, all right, if we're going to go to 67 minutes, I'm going to have an infinitely scaling champion. I'm done with this. I want to be able to one-shot someone with a Q if we get to 70 minutes, and we'll see whether he can actually make it there as the coaches do shake hands. Let's get into game number 2 of EDG versus Newbee. And here we are onto the Rift, ladies and gentlemen, for game number 2 between EDG and Newbee. And we'll see whether Newbee can get their heads back into this game after that gut-wrenching loss that they suffered in game number 1. They were so close, and yet so far.
Yeah. Something that makes me sad is that game 1, they always show the first dragon, and they go straight in game 2, and we got to keep guessing. If it is the Cloud Dragon, then they can kind of EDG can look to sacrifice the dragon control for maybe just going in for a lane swap. But hey, we got 2 new picks.
Yeah. So Kindred making her way back in, and the Veigar being picked up for Dade.
So I like the Kindred and I like the Veigar. The Veigar specifically has a lot of zone. We were talking about zone control from Victor.
Yeah.
Well, that's a bigger circle.
Event Horizon should be an ultimate, I think, is what it comes down to.
Yeah, it's quite a lot. And of course, if the last game meant anything, it could, as you said, it could go on for quite some time.
Oh, yeah.
If you had problems with team fighting last game, well, I mean, this is just, you're going to have a lot more problems this game. And of course, going on to the Kindred specifically, Kindred used to be the champion where, we're not talking about mid-game, late game, Kindred used to have a lot of just pressure early, right?
Oh, yeah.
You can just go in, and actually it looks like they get walked in on in the lane swap. Yep. Oh, wait. Here they are.
Oh, goodness. I don't see it. As Mako gets himself right in amongst this. Really good Pulverize comes down as Def close distance onto Swift. Does have to try and get himself out of there. Uses the Ghost as V. He's going to get turned on. Deft at full health. Oh, has to cancel that auto attack. Gets a boomerang for a couple of ticks.
Now, let me tell you the effect of this, because Mako may have lost a lot of HP, but it doesn't matter, right?
Oh, he stole another one.
Oh,
as Dade's getting over, Flash comes out of Mako.
Flash may matter. That's the one thing that probably does matter. But
that's 2 ghosts for a Flash, though.
Exactly. That's
and
true.
An exhaust. Okay, so that's 2 summoner spells.
But yeah, as I said, losing a lot of HP for the Newbee EDG bottom lane doesn't mean too much, because they're going to be stuck clearing waves, right? Especially if it goes to the second tower. It doesn't really matter. They're not going to be getting hit by anything. Problem is, they were able to push out the Newbee top laner and Swift and V, so they're going to be a little bit slower in their rotations. But actually, it looks like, okay, EDG is slower, but they just kind of cleared up their entire.
They killed the whole jungle, yeah.
Yeah. So EDG was a lot more aggressive in forcing Newbee off their camps, or at least steal them. EDG just able to get the experience, so that's a net positive for them. If it's a net positive if Mouse is able to get to the turret on time.
Also, the fact that Scout was able to get the shove on here in the mid lane as well. Dade, because of his rotation around, now falling about half the CS of Scout, won't be able to even that completely up after this wave crashes through, and he can pick up those minions under the tower. EDG getting in here, of course. Maokai, my favorite statistic, given to me by Spawn, of course, because that's the guy that actually knows things, but has the highest base AD in the game.
I was actually about to mention that because that's my fun. That's the statistic I love the most.
Oh, yeah.
You know, Sivir has a lot of pushing potential, or not potential, just ability to push a tower, right? Now, this is really bad for Newbee. They actually have to spend a little bit more time to get this turret. They have pretty much have to deny this wave just as well. So, but yeah, EDG have the faster tempo. Sivir has a lot of push, and Maokai has the largest base AD. So so he helps out quite a bit. On top of the fact that usually Maokais do have attack speed reds. So with that being said, he's going to be just pretty much throwing a lot of punches at that turret.
Oh yeah, the bark jab, as we like to call it. As Scout continues to shove these waves forward. Only 3 CS in the lead as this all normalizes, but there are a few extra red creeps in that minion wave. Dade picks one up. Baleful Strike, of course, stacking up that AP. Doing the best that he can.
Ooh, you better watch out. He doesn't want to... So, something Mako did, not really apparent, doesn't really get shown on the screen right now, but he went through the jungle, so if Trundle decided to ever... Wait, actually...
Well, there's the flash in from Clearlove as well as the event horizon's there. He will have to flash. Oh, gets it as the bullet flies through and nails Dade even after the flash.
He thought he had it. He thought he left.
Oh, Mako here at exactly the right time as well. Has the pulverize. I believe that was Triumphant Roy took up second maybe because he didn't headbutt him.
Yeah. So just to finish up the point, Alistair took the path that he knows he's not going to get seen on the vision. So if Trundle overstays, then he's like, okay, actually, it's just the Sivir here. Then he'll just get destroyed. So, so it's a good look for him. Trundle does respect it, but yeah, that's Kindred. Welcome back, Kindred. That was really good from him. He was able to just pretty much pressure out the mid laner. Has a lot of gank potential and power in that. Doesn't really need. I know he got nerfed with his slow on his E, but doesn't mean a lot because he's going to be pouncing right at you.
Tower falls down on the top side of the map as EDG continue shoving this one through. Another minion wave gets there, and they probably want to get this at least to the turret, and we'll see whether they can pressure it because this tower's taking a long time on the bottom for Newbee.
Yeah, they didn't bounce it. This is actually really good for EDG. Question is whether they start to siege this tower and start to play that pressure game, or okay, they just left the turret there. That's good. That's actually really good. They're backing right now, and they have such a large tempo lead. They're going to be able to get to their objective, which might just be the bottom lane once again, faster than Newbee. And on top of that, Newbee have to answer this wave that's on their tower. Meanwhile, EDG can just travel straight towards the wave that got bounced. So they actually have a much faster road ahead of them. So that's pretty much the tempo that they have on top of it. Question is, what are they going to do with it, right? Are they going to threaten that bot side inner tower, or are they going to use that to pretty much destroy Dade, as he is flashless and a Veigar?
Yeah. Has his ghost. You're right. Does need to have that full reposition. The headbutt pulverize is not going to be ghosted out of. Need a little bit more than that. But currently, the wave in a good position as Clearlove hunting for Swift. This man wants a pony for his birthday.
It's true, but he does get the nice mark that came off the Scuttle Crab over there, and the blue buff to boot.
Yeah, steals it away.
So now I want Sivir to just fully push this out. Actually, he just gives it straight up to Victor. That's amazing for him. He can just shove Veigar in completely. So
yeah.
This is good for EDG. They have the shoving wave. They have an advantage. Look at how far EDG's wave is compared to where Jhin is. Because, of course, one of Jin's basic weakness is his pushing power.
Yeah, precisely.
And so it looks like they're going to use that tempo to shove in bot side and get this free Cloud Dragon. I'm a fan of that. Well, I could have had a Cloud Dragon last game, but...
yeah, it would have been the best. Think about it. If Newbee had picked up a Cloud Drake, things would have been very different. As the first one of the game this time around is for EDG. Looks like we're going back down the order as Ocean Drake will be coming up next in 6 minutes' time. EDG actually moving 3 members over the side here as there's the flash headbutt. And V takes a lot of damage. They're actually using a lot here to try and lock him down. Wolfspite is going to come in for the potential slow. There it is, the flash from Def picks up the kill. And that is the second one for EDG. Curtain Call comes in, Mouse in trouble underneath the turret. as he's doing his best to dodge these bullets. Flashes as the minion wave's picked up by Happy.
That would have been it. And so right now Newbee is in a, I guess they're going to get the, yeah, this could be good for them, getting Rift Herald. But
yeah, Swift grabs it for himself as well.
So this is kind of weird. I'm not too sure if it's worth it because, of course, they're a lot slower on their tempo. EDG just might be able to get this tower faster. So Newbee has to decide whether they look to defend or just continue to push. It looks like they back.
You can see actually Mark was picked up, I believe, by Clear Love as well on that Wolf camp. Not entirely sure whether it was denied or whether he actually managed to pick that one up in time. It does mean that Kindred does have quite a bit of extra damage.
All right, so looks like Kindred does end up leaving. So that's a lot of good things from EDG. It looks like their tempo pretty much stopped right there. They got a lot of chip damage, I believe, from that bot tower, and they were able to get a lot of, pretty much they just raided that blue side jungle.
Swift was almost a Chaos Storm away from dead, but does get his camp.
So here's the real strength, right? Scout was able to get the blue buff early, which is really great for him because he is now pretty much at a pretty massive lead, 82 CS to 68 CS. And so that works for him. Usually Victor has a problem early game, can't really get the push going for him.
Yeah.
And so this advantage for him, gifted to him by the tempo that was given to him by, you know, EDG's push. So that's a good win for them. They were able to get the early game lead and a solid 2K advantage.
Well, we'll see whether they can continue solidifying this one as now Mako finds himself a pink ward. Deft in full vision. Going to set himself up, but EDG making it known that they're here. And a lot of vision here towards the bottom side of the map. Looks like this outer turret in the mid lane is their next option. With no Rift Herald, with no Dragon. Not a whole lot of other places on the map they can be safely against Newbee.
Yeah, and what can Newbee do? That's the question. You have a Jhin, and you have a Veigar. So at this point, Veigar can't be on a side lane. It cannot happen. He's too immobile. If he gets doubled by Kindred and Maokai, then it will mean trouble for him. Jhin can't do the same, but it looks like they get a pick.
Yeah, they do. Event Horizon comes down. Scout flashes out of the way, though. Picks up the kill on Demore. He's still alive as Swift is going to be able to lock down that one. Deft with the on the hunt, still doing work as Twisted Advance locks down Swift for the moment. Mouse makes his way in a little bit late, and it's a decent snare to come through from the W out of Happy.
All right.
But it is just going to be a trade.
Okay. So, yeah, that was as good as it can get for Newbee because, of course, they can't shove outside. They can only shove out one side with Trundle. The other one has to kind of just be pushed out and left to its own because Jhin and Veigar kind of have to be mid. They can't really find themselves in a side lane or else they'll get jumped on. And so that's, I don't want to say it's a weakness of the composition.
Well, I mean, I guess they have to share farm then between, you know, the two carriers.
Exactly. They have to share farm, experience. So both of them right now at a disadvantage in terms of CS, and I can believe it. Yeah, actually, Sivir has a 1 level advantage. So if they keep this up, EDG they'll be in a good position for later on in the game.
Yeah, just scaling themselves through. So he's still 2,000 gold, even after that one pick that did go down. Scout gets himself back in, continues farming things up. Morellonomicon almost there for Dade. Is this going to be his item of choice? Oh, that's frustrating. Needs 3 auto attacks in order to take down the caster minions. Makes it difficult for Dade underneath the turret. Baleful Strike helping him out there. Clear Love not going to get stunned up by the Deadly Flourish. As this blue buff is most certainly belonging to EDG.
Yeah, so they're using their shove properly. If Veigar is going to be held at ransom under tower, then that means those buffs aren't theirs anymore. They don't have the numbers to pretty much reinforce it. So look at him. He just has to smack every minion.
So many times.
Just can't do it. Look at it. Oh, that's painful. Couldn't even kill it off that one.
Yeah, and his attack speed's so low.
Oh, my God.
What a disaster. Yeah, precisely.
But, so yeah, it's a struggle for them. I mean, Newbee has to wait until later on in the game when Veigar is able to just dish out damage, but will they get to that point?
Well, that is the question. Happy off to the side lane, trying to catch himself back up. Of course, only 10 CS behind, not too much of a big deal. But Deft has that extra kill almost has his Essence Reaver done, as well as those Berserker's Greaves already there, and they get themselves some time here in this mid lane. Love moves his way away.
And so this is great because, of course, they have the Kindred, right? So Kindred, of course, has a lot of pressure early on in the game. May be a bit squishy, but, of course, ranged 80 carry at the end of the day. You have three. Oh,
whoa,
wait a minute.
There's the Thunderdome being set up by Dade. Does make sure EDG do get themselves the tower, but off to the side, Mouse caught potentially out of position, going down very low, but tanking things up nicely. Doesn't have to expend his flash, and they get the tower and get out.
Yeah, so that was a free mid tower for them. They just pretty much A-rammed it until they got the tower because they do have the ranged carries.
Double stun.
Yeah, and they're getting poked down though, but yeah, it's that's a problem with Newbee's comp. They don't have the wave clear, and they can't really challenge EDG on their basically on their siege.
Well, you can see a lot of things being cleared out by EDG towards this dragon. Ocean Drake has just spawned. Another objective that EDG do want to lock down. Event Horizon gets up clear of. A nice block from the Rift Scuttler, but in goes the ultimate. Deft. Spell Shield's the first one. Mako puts himself in a good position again, but Clearlove just gets cleaned up. Can't even ult as Swift is going to go down right after the ultimate goes off. EDG, they've traded their junglers as there's the exhaust under Dade. He has them exactly in his clutches as Happy picks up Mako. And Chaos Storm does a lot of work. More flashes forward, but doesn't find anyone with the ultimate, and Deft picks up the kill. Scout now kiting this one out. There's another Event Horizon, and the stun comes in. Mouse is going to be stunned as well as Scout does eventually fall. Death flashes after him, picks up the kill. And it's just trades everywhere. Mid laner and top laner still alive for Newbee, and it's 80 carry and the top still alive for EDG.
Yeah, trades after trades after trades. And they get a close-up on Dade. That's the start of that last fight.
Oh, yeah.
And it was just early game, too, because you don't need to do damage to place down your Event Horizon.
No.
It's just, he just is able to just bring down the Thunderdome, as you said, and get pick after pick. And, of course, EDG is able to respond, but you got to imagine what happens if this game goes any later on.
Yeah.
That poke that he's able to accomplish with his...
Not to mention Primordial Burst on Scout, who's going to be building a whole heck of a lot of AP.
Exactly.
He just needs to press R, and that guy dies.
And if he builds as much AP as he did last game without the Rylai's, he's going to feel it.
It's going to be a big problem for Scout. But we'll see whether he can get his positioning back on track. Of course, was fantastic at it in the first game. Led to their victory. Picked himself up an MVP. Now EDG setting themselves up again. Round 2 here for this dragon as it's gone down to about half of its health bar. Mouse gets stunned, but he's a big burly Maokai. This dragon's still pretty angry at Newbee.
V has TP. He's going to push in this wave. They can, Newbee can pretty much stay here for as long as they want.
You can see they're trying to poke out from the side there as well. EDG, onus is on them now to start this one up as Curtain Call comes through. Mouse stuck inside the Thunderdome this time as the teleport's coming in from V. They grab themselves a dragon on the side of EDG as Clearlove wants to be out of dancing arrows over the top. Does so as Mako gets stunned up. Does have the ultimate available to him. And EDG just get themselves out of there.
Okay, that worked out for EDG, but that's still scary. You got to watch out. Newbee's playing around with their cooldowns because every time Veigar stuns up, they're going to use it, and they're going to go off on it. But
oh, yeah.
They gave up position. That's one thing that I disliked about Newbee there. They had the positioning. EDG was the one that needed to finish that dragon up quickly because Trundle was pushing out that top wave.
And I like that the Event Horizon bought time for his teleport, but you're right. I mean, if Newbee had been able to hold them there, continue poking out, continue utilizing this CC that's relatively non-committal, possibly could have made sure that V could really get some work done and force EDG off. But EDG make the proactive play, get the work done in the end.
I just love the fact that Newbee has been taking it to EDG. Right now, EDG is untouchable, but they're proving that not to be the case.
Mm-hmm.
English is a difficult language.
Oh, it's a tough one. I definitely assure you on that one.
But yeah, that's right now Newbee's playing it well. They are in a deficit, which makes this all the more interesting.
Well, of course, Newbee used to playing from behind, even back when this team was called Xiaogu. They were the, if we're behind 10k gold, I mean, that's where we thrive in the team fight scenarios. But since then, it's been a different identity for this team. In fact, an identity that been trying to work out.
Yeah, this set pretty much sets it up, right? Because first game, they play that early game composition with Nidalee. They play it out, force EDG's hands early, and yeah, they can't end the game. But perhaps if they grinded on that, that would have not been the case. Uh-oh.
Well, in goes Mako, gets the flash out of Dade. Throws out the Ghost as well. It's 2 Summoner spells as Mako just traipses his way in.
But yeah, if you grind out a composition in scrims and in actual game day, you can make it work. You can be the kings at that comp.
Yeah.
Like, talk to Aime, talk to game talents, though perhaps not doing so well for themselves, but they could be a lot worse if they just didn't have an identity.
Yeah, precisely.
And so right now, Newbee played that early game composition. They could have won off of it. They made a lot of key mistakes, right? And then now they're playing this late game composition, one that, it's pretty much old Chaogu-esque, right? But that's probably not something they're comfortable with.
Well, EDG, they get out the Event Horizon and now just move through to take this inner turret. Clearlove almost has his Trinity Force done. And I didn't think about this when New Trinity Force happened, but Kindred would love that item.
That's true. A lot of attack speed.
A lot of cooldown reduction.
So that works out really well for him. And of course, Clearlove is not going to be afraid to pick out a new jungler, right? So
yeah.
I like the fact that we're seeing Kindred back up again, and he's utilizing it to a T. That's something. Oh, it looks like
a lot of pings now onto Mouse, who does have the flash, waiting for his team to make his way over. Mako gets himself in there. Arcane Smash doesn't find the mark as the E has to be used out of Swift. Gets himself out of trouble. V will get at least a consolation Pinkwood.
Yeah, but that's pretty much the style of EDG is they can use any composition. You give him Kindred, you give him Skarner, right? And he's going to play it to a T, the best he can play it. Hell, you give him Teemo, and he's going to have proper shroom placements, right? But the thing is, that's what makes it a little bit more frustrating because Newbee, they have this composition, the Twisted Fate comp, or in this game specifically, they have this late game composition. And consistently they misplay their champion, like how they use their champions, right?
Yeah.
And so I honestly think this team can be so much better if they just grind out one idea, one identity.
Yeah. Well, Deft, you can see, actually picks himself up another rapid fire cannon. Liked it after selling his Phantom Dancer at the end of the last game. Wants to have that extra range. Be able to get that ricochet happening as quickly as possible in these fights.
That's true.
Happy cleaning up here underneath this turret.
And you can believe he has to really make use of that range. Because if he ever walks out, and I know Scout's going to be the main target, but if he ever walks up, yeah, sure, you're a Sivir, but if you ever use your spell shield, Vhagar will kill you.
Yeah.
So
come late game, he just presses R on Sivir as well, because she won't have a whole lot of health.
Yeah. So you got to watch out for that, because if he ever just throws out his ulti and
it gets spell shielded, that's the worst feeling ever.
That is the worst.
Well, you can see EDG clearing out vision around this Baron buff continually. 30 seconds on this dragon.
Uh-oh.
As there's the Event Horizon. Mako just ults out of the stun, and Dade's going to die. Deft picks up his Rampage kill, which is 4 in a row. Sivir looking terrifying. 7 kills to 4, and Deft is 4-0-2. More setting himself up now as Swift, taking some damage off to the side. Really good spell shield from Deft. Actually avoids the fear out of Swift at the same time. Gets himself in position. Teleports coming in from EDG. A Scout caught off to the side, but the gravity field's helping him out. Happy over the edge is going to go very low. He gets himself into a good position to throw down the ultimate. More falls, and it's going to be Clearlove that locks that one down. Happy just cannot continue this fight out, and the red buff is going to go to EDG.
Deft is a master of Sivir. He has used his spell shield so well. For the past 2 spell shields in a row, he blocks out the Event Horizon, and of course the Braum ulti. And it looks like they're just going for Baron here.
Yeah, it's already down to about half health as well. As you can see, Kindred ripping through it.
Oh, and Newbee's nowhere to be seen.
Well, Swift is going to almost make his way in as Mako gets the flash pole, but doesn't land it onto Swift.
zoning flash.
Yeah, liked it, liked it.
So that was EDG's playing their lead pretty well. So whenever EDG gets a lead, they play to their vision to a T. They constantly force you back with just fear, intimidation of say, hey, you know, you get caught out, you're not going to come out alive, right?
Yeah.
But Newbee just they have to be a little envious.
Well, yeah, exactly. And this is what they weren't able to do in game number 1. Next Cloud Drake is going to come up. EDG, clear that one out.
Where was this Cloud Drake last game?
I know. The reason EDG are winning is because they managed to get 2 Cloud Drakes, whereas Newbee had those worthless Mountain and Infernal Drakes.
I'm telling you right now, the countless Mountain Drakes, Infernal Drakes, setting these teams behind.
Yeah, it's a problem. It's a big problem. Need them clouds. EDG following them up the mid lane, making use of their Baron buff now towards the middle of the map. Mouse getting caught out of position here as well towards the top side. So Newbee trying to answer. They will be able to kill the tree, but are they sacrificing too much now? As with 4 members here, they will be able to get a lot of damage done. Clearlove throws down the ultimate on himself and will equal the death of the turret. And Scout gets himself right in on Dade. Gets himself stunned though. And
there he goes.
Yeah, face of the mountain, just not enough there from Mako as Swift gets him over the top.
Oh!
Wow!
He hits the ward! I'm so sad right now.
Oh, God, he did too! Oh, and then Clearlove makes his way out. But it does mean that Deft and Mako possibly in trouble as Mako delivered to Newbee. Baron buff still ticking onto Deft, gets himself underneath his turret as Dade just gets picked off. A little bit too in range there as Deft is going to get stunned and taken down. But now Clearlove comes in trying to get the chase on.
Okay.
They'll get stunned by the Deadly Flourish, but they get themselves the turret in the mid lane.
Okay, so let's recap. That was a risky play out of Newbee. They went for that top lane play, sending 2 people when they know that wave is knocking at their mid lane inhib turret. It worked out for them, though. It only worked out because they needed to take the fight afterwards, right? They knew that EDG was going to be able to get the tower, maybe even the inhib as well. They didn't get it because after they got the pick on Maokai, they were able to just jet straight for them, pick the fight. Yeah, it looks like they're scaling.
Yeah, they're doing the best they can. Clearlove now with a Zeal built up at the same time. We'll see whether that's going to be his Runan's Hurricane, which is what he used to like building a second item before this Trinity Force idea came to him. That I love. Scout has picked up a Rylai's this time around very early on as well. So no Merlin on Macon this time. Has the extra cooldown reduction from Lucidity Boots and the Lichbane. That will do him for the moment.
So the reason why I'm still worried for EDG is they're able to pretty much take this game and it looks like they're closing out rather well, but you got to watch out. That's a strong teamfight comp here.
Well, we'll see whether they can actually get that teamfight on as Clearlove goes down extraordinarily low. Does have the ultimate on himself as they're looking to lock down just the inhibitor, and they do so very nicely. Clearlove dodges the Deadly Flourish, and EDG get exactly what they want and move their way out. Curtain Call comes in. Clearlove flashes one of the bullets, but there's no vision available, and he gets himself out.
Clearlove gets out alive. That was really funny because I was wondering, I was like, how did he not die?
Yeah.
He had the Primordial Burst come at him. How did he survive? And you realize, oh, this is actually a really, really bad comp to pick the Veigar into because that's a lot of denial you got here.
Yeah, the old Lamb's Respite is a bit of a problem for the old Veigar.
Yeah.
Hard to predict, though, I guess. I mean, the animation does go relatively long, but if Dade hits at close range, it will be hard for Clearlove to respond in time.
Mm-hmm.
That's clutching at straws a little bit, though, Raz, I have to admit.
It's kind of, it feels bad, and I'm like, because that's their only hope at this point. He's getting his item, has the Void Staff. That's their hope, right? Being able to turn these fights, but if you can't land the ulti, because of course not only does do you have the Lamb's Respite, but you have the Sivir,
Spell Shield, yeah.
Spell Shield, and the Mako's not going to be taking much damage from you either. Maokai, obviously, is he going to be able to get it off?
Oh, now EDG set themselves up, take down that inner turret extraordinarily fast. Made it look like a siege minion is. There's the flash pulverize. Swift delivered into EDG. Ults himself out. Chaos Storm still slowing him down with the Rylai's, but really good pillar placement from V. Will allow his jungler to escape. Big ultimate cooldown now missing, and no flash for Mako.
Yeah, missing the Heck ulti now, which is going to be unfortunate because now, of course, they're going to look for this tower, but Dragon's going to be coming up. Baron's going to be coming up around the same time.
Hopefully we'll have that ultimate available at that point. But EDG knocking on the top door of Newbee. Curtain Call comes in. Happy going to be able to clear out the wave and get some good poke damage onto this EDG roster. Clearlove takes a bullet for his tree. Gets himself out. Oh, God. That Event Horizon was so close. I'm not even sure whether Deft actually used his spell shield to cancel that one out or whether it was just out of range. Oh, it's too close for comfort for EDG. Speaking of Deft, does have his Infinity Edge built up as well. So 5-1 and 3, 244 CS, 29 minutes, feeling very good for himself. It's Clearlove, grabs the blue buff and gets out.
They're able to burn quite a bit in terms of summer spells. Well, mostly, specifically, I think just the Jhin ulti. It might come back up in time for the Baron, in time for the Dragon.
Yeah.
But it won't be back up for the setup. And that's going to be what hurts, because EDG is going to be able to set up real vision control for this Baron here. Not so much the Dragon. The Dragon doesn't really mean much right here when the Baron's coming up, especially with this lead that EDG has. So now they got to pretty much take it. Now they have to come in a disadvantage once again. I mean, they're already far, far down in gold.
Yeah.
So with that, on top of the fact that they're not even... Actually, EDG just put salt in the wound. They get the vision control on the Baron, and they take the Dragon on top of that.
Yeah, just steal away that Mountain Drake. Next one's going to be the Elder, as 4 Dragons now being picked up for EDG. The 2 coveted Cloud Drakes, of course, that they very much need, going to be augmented by the slightly less important Mountain Drake. Of course, that is sarcasm, ladies and gentlemen. Mountain Drake probably the more important at this stage of the game.
Yep.
This EDG team.
Especially since they're setting up so properly for the Baron. And Newbee has to respect it now, especially since they have Kindred, they have Sivir, Victor. That's going to burn. That's going to burn really fast. And they have a super minion coming up straight through their mid tower. They have to handle it, and Veigar isn't the best at cleaning that up.
Look at Mako. He's just zoning.
Yeah, he's just walking up at this point. He makes it seem as if they're already on Baron.
You can see they're not. But EDG are pressuring Newbee away from it. Another Deadly Flourish flies through. And they do now have that Curtain Call back up. EDG now waiting.
They must have... Oh, here we go.
Oh, God, there it is. Twisted Advance comes down as Moore is just going to get taken out. That's deletion.
And that's setup that is just simply done because they set it up so properly. They know that the blue trinkets are down. They must have timed it.
Whoa, there's the flash Twisted Advance. V going to get caught out as well as he gets knocked up. Event Horizon and EDG just relishing their time within it. And does get V to safety.
You have to respect this. Like, you have to respect EDG's Baron take because they know, EDG knows that, you've lost, blue trinkets. You can't check it unless if you walk at us.
And this Baron is so low. Swift gets himself in there, but Mako locks it down. Swift is going to die as well as Deft picks up yet another kill. EDG continuing to fly forward. You can see it. Clearlove's able to get himself over the wall if he wants to. And scout right into the mid lane as they have an inhibitor that was just prepared for them.
And that's a textbook Baron take and traps. They trapped because any other team... Oh, what?
Oh, wow. Okay, Deft has to fight Dade here as he throws out the Primordial Burst. Deft is still alive. Not entirely sure how. Gets himself a face of the Mountain Shield and just wanders his way out. Dade had to respect him as he just 3-crit him to the head. The inhibitor is going to fall. I feel like players just play with so much reverence towards Deft. Every time he goes aggressive, it's like, oh, God, get me out of here.
I mean, ordinarily, you would think that Veigar is going to be able to destroy Deft in that situation.
Yeah.
But the crits that came out, you cannot stop the crit lord.
No.
He took you down at 2 auto attacks, and of course with the auto cancellation there, it was really strong. Dade had to walk away. He had to respect it. He didn't have the team to be able to take it, but usually you would think that Veigar would take that matchup properly, but not the case. Sivir is strong.
I just don't know how that even happened. It was pretty cheeky to walk around the curtain call like that, get himself, like, close the distance onto the inhibitor. But that should have been a missed position. However, not the case. Mortal Reminder now completed for Deft as well. Going to be denying the healing out of V and from Swift as well, both of them. A lot of inherent regen. As Deft now pays some attention here to the bottom side of the map. Nice Unbreakable from Moore, denies the boomerang.
And EDG is just taking zero risk. They don't have to step up. They don't have to auto that turret. They may have had the minions, but they know that Maokai is just crashing up into the top tower.
Well, Clear Love takes a lot of damage from the Event Horizon. But look at the ricochet. Cleared up a minion wave instantly.
And someone has to answer to Maokai. He just needs one more wave to hit that turret. EDG can wait for a lifetime.
EDG as well. I mean, look, another minion wave comes in, and they are going to be able to... What the hell was that damage?
Mountain Drake and Def's AD.
That was despicable.
That was something.
Well, Event Horizon there just to try and zone EDG away, but that is 2 inhibitors now down for our top dogs in Group A. Newbee now having to just try and hold on as best they can. 1:40 on the Dragon. Will be an Elder Drake.
And EDG's just rubbing it in. They were like, this is how you should have played your last game, Newbee.
Just and the Huntsman popped as well. They just use it to take down the turret. They're going to try to do so. There's the Lance Respite. You can see Clear Love and Deft standing on top of it. But the fight's going on further in as there's the Chaos Storm slowing down the members of Newbee. Pulsating damage as well as V's going to fall down. Double kill comes out for Scout as it's now his turn to step up. 3 inhibitors dead and now EDG doing work on these Nexus turrets.
And they take the game. That was clean. Not as clean as you would expect because it is Newbee, but they take it. Once they get the lead, they start barreling it down.
They most certainly do. Deft just killing the members of Newbee on the fountain now as well. Moore is going to keep his life, but the Nexus isn't, and a 2-0 victory from EDG. It's not exactly the easiest 2-0 that we've ever seen, but game number 2 certainly was. Newbee just not looking like the same team that they were in game number 1 after that crushing defeat.
Yeah, you banned Nidalee. You forced them to play a later game, and of course, once again, Dade picks up the Veigar pick, which should be fine, kind of.
It sort of kind of was.
A little bit.
Yeah.
But I'm going to be blunt. If you're going to find stability on this team, you don't want to be in a position where you're picking random. It's not random picks, but it's a random pick.
Yeah, it's a weird one. Yeah, it's not an orthodox pick. He could have grabbed something like the Azir.
Especially, and I don't want to like always go back.
Or Twist of Fate again.
Yeah. I just didn't like the fact that he knew he was going up with Kindred. That was the last pick mid, by the way. That was the last pick Veigar. He knew he was going up against Sivir. He knew he was going up against Kindred. So I can't answer to that.
Yeah, it's a very confusing thing. EDG take a well-deserved bow. It is a 2-0 victory, but if you're just having a look at the scoreboard, with that 2-0, you might expect EDG, all right, well, this is the team that is 4th in the group, not necessarily looking the best, Group A, not looking great apart from EDG, but that game number 1 was brilliant out of Newbee, and I want to see more from this team with proactive play, with clever team compositions, with Swift playing his Nidalee so beautifully, because that game number 1 was fantastic out of the team. It was a robbed victory from EDG, who just team fought phenomenally towards the end. But that series was all about game number 1 because it felt like whoever won that series would just have way too much mental power moving into that closeout game.
Especially in that fashion as well, right? You lose in that fashion. Look at Happy's face. He was definitely demoralized after that. And so you're right. This is the game that I think that, I mean, Newbee got 2-0'd, but to be fair, they must have somehow, like, they must have kind of expected it. They're going into this game saying, you know what, it's a tough game, but we got to come out learning something. And I think they learned quite a bit about what they could do, the potential that this team does have. The first game was incredible. They could have ended that game properly, and it didn't go their way because they weren't very patient. They were kind of taking shortcuts in one way or another. They could have easily, like I said in that series, come with the minion wave. Don't force any situation. Don't force any plays. But you know, EDG was able to catch them on a lot of. They were able to catch them on a lot of flanks. So they forced the fight that they wanted, and it barreled away from there.
Yeah, most certainly did. And I guess we can make the comparison here as well with how EDG played out that later stage of the game when they had such a massive lead. Of course, Newbee in game number 1 didn't get to a lead about that size, but they did have that level of map control. And I guess the question now is, like, how didn't Newbee do exactly what EDG did, who were just able to force the last inhibitor and then push that one all the way forward? They were able to demand these team fights. Does it come down to team composition there? Is the sort of poke strategy that Newbee had in game number 1 just not enough to get the engages?
I don't necessarily agree with that, and that there's a reason for that, right? Every composition will have their weaknesses, and you understand what that weakness is, and you go in hard, playing to your strength. The moment you walk away from your strength, the moment you say, we're not going to poke anymore, or the moment you say, actually, we're not going to really, we're going to take these team fights that aren't necessarily advantageous, but they got pretty much impatient. That's what it came down to.
Yeah.
When it comes down to it, they play a lot of compositions, right? Newbee comes out with a new composition and a new style every day, and they kind of make very small but very instrumental issues where they, like for instance, their Twisted Fate composition last week, where they pretty much played towards the Shen lane, right? You don't do that. And if you do that, you better be sure that you have the numbers or that you are far enough ahead. But that's the question. That's the question, is whether Newbee will find that style and will play to that style. EDG will play to a style. If they have a poke comp, they'll poke. If they have a team fight comp, they'll team fight. Regardless of their weaknesses, they'll make up for it. And that's the question about Newbee. I want to see them be able to play a composition and play it to its fullest.
Yeah, well, we'll see whether they can actually do that, because every single matchup from EDG onwards will get easier. All of these teams haven't done so well in the cross-conference. We mentioned it earlier on. Group A was a little bit of a disappointment when it came up against its brother in that those cross-conference games. Group B coming out ahead just in general. But Newbee as well, they were punished quite a lot. I mean, if we have a look at their scoreline, it's 4-7, which is definitely not looking like a team that's sitting in 4th place.
Yep.
Well, we are going to go back to EDG, though, because MVP is now here, and it is going to be Deft.
Yeah.
Picks one up for himself and really solidifying that top spot in 80 carries as far as that MVP is concerned. 40% of damage share as well.
I expect
On a team with a Kindred Victor.
But that's Deft. He plays so far forward. There were moments where I was just honestly just super afraid for him. But he was always in the proper position. Always spell shielded at the perfect time. And look at this. They were able to just pretty much answer that trade. Him and Scout were able to just kind of narrow down on Hecarim once they took down Clearlove. And it was in and out. You didn't know how this team fight would work out. But look at Deft. He was...
Oh,
like,
God.
It just comes down to positioning. It's the small points that aren't really recognized. And he's able to pretty much weave in and out of every team fight, flash in, and even though they cut off that point, he knew when he should have been aggressive, flashed in, got the kill. That's been him 2 games in a row. 2 games in a row, though. The first one, he didn't get MVP. He played like an MVP.
Damn right he did. And he actually won that big team fight that EDG were able to capitalize on, get the momentum back in their favor, and then bring it to Newbee and close out that game. It was that big triple kill that he was able to pick up towards the end with that sweet flash auto attack reset. Grabs that work done. And look, his Sivir has always looked brilliant, but hasn't looked this brilliant since the end of last split, of course, with that phenomenal pentakill that he managed to pick up. So just ridiculous stuff out of this guy, and Deft still looking huge. Clearlove as well. I mean, having a great performance on an unorthodox pick at this stage in the meta.
Yep.
The Kindred, they changed the Trinity Force. 20% CDR feels very good for a Kindred. Now doesn't have the critical strike, but she wasn't really about crits necessarily. I really like the pick, and of course, there's a lot of Trinity Force junglers running around. How do you feel about the Kindred and how she fits?
I like the Kindred. I think, of course, Kindred did get nerfed quite a bit, but the issue is Kindred is still Kindred. You have that ulti, able to, I guess it's called Lambert's fight.
Yeah.
Able to help your team out in those crucial team fights. You have pretty much the range that you get because, of course, the junglers now, people are starting to love Gragas. People are starting to love Rek'Sai, you know? But Kindred, you're saying, hey, I can actually walk into your jungle if I have the waves pushed in, and I can always look to pretty much skirmish with you, or with what Clearlove was doing. He was just pretty much walking into lanes when he recognized they didn't have the proper wave clear. He was able to pretty much just come in, take free towers, especially that mid tower. That mid tower came down pretty quickly, pretty easily.
Yeah.
And it was because they recognized the weakness of that composition that Newbee had, and they were just able to pounce on it with just constant sieges.
Yeah, just raw power. And the exploitive powers of EDG are something we've always commended them for. And we'll see exactly what is going to happen as EDG move forward, whether they're going to continue just being ridiculous, because now sitting at 12-0, they have a huge buffer. The next team in their group is on 6 victories. So that's double the wins, and EDG can play all sorts of ridiculous team cons if they want to. They can pick up all of the new stuff. They've got a big buffer moving into a definite first-place seed out of Group A.
Exactly. They don't have to worry too much about playoffs. All they have to worry about is when the playoffs actually come, right?
Yeah.
Because their road right now is fairly easy. They're going up against a few weaker teams in their own group.
Yeah.
Though it feels like every team is weak when it comes to EDG.
Yeah.
So at this point, they just have to figure out, they just have to play clean League of Legends. Because you get into playoffs, you're coming in as first seed, and you just want to come in tip-top condition.
Yeah, exactly right. And if we have a look over the other side of the rift, Newbee, they've got a lot of work to do. Currently in position to grab a spot in the playoffs as well, as it's 2-9 for IG. So not exactly about to catch up or anything like that, and they need a lot of work done in order to get them there. So Newbee's still looking okay. But as far as this gauntlet run is concerned, it's terrifying. Group B just looking like a really ferocious group. Every single team in there doing work, including OMG and LGD. Both of those teams can't be left out, and they're the ones trying to get into those playoffs. So it says a lot for the playoff contentious teams already. So Newbee are going to have to put in a lot of work. And if they continue doing what they did in game number 1 against EDG, then it honestly looks good.
Exactly. I actually feel Newbee should feel not too bad. They don't have anything to worry about in terms of, like, for instance, LGD has quite a bit to worry about, right?
Yeah.
OMG has quite a bit to worry about. Newbee, they may not be, like, their record looks bad. Their play looks bad. But knowing that you have IG and Saint behind you, right?
Yeah.
That you can make those mistakes in games. You can make a few experimentations, right? And it won't be as punished. So I think it's fine for them. They have a bit of time until playoffs to really figure out what they want to do. And so right now, I want to see how they pretty much take this time, right?
Yeah.
Take this time before playoffs to figure out what they want to do.
Well, we'll see exactly how they are going to do, because Newbee, this is a team that we've always been looking at and expecting a lot from. And I could imagine that their fans are the same, because Newbee just, when they were Chagu, was so good. They had this clear identity, and I'm just waiting. And I like what you say about the fact that they can experiment if they want to, because it's looking like IG and Saint are going to be our last place teams within this group. So I guess they have some flexibility. They can try things out, but hopefully they can get to that sort of consistent game style towards the end of it, because as soon as they go up against these Group B teams in the playoffs, it's looking like it's just going to be clear favorites for Group B up until that top spot in RNG and EDG.
Yeah, but you never know how it's going to turn out, right? You have those 3 weeks. And those 3 weeks mean a lot. That's 3 weeks of scrims. That's 3 weeks of actual game day. A lot of preparation up until playoffs. So teams that may feel a little bit weak right now don't have the best records. And obviously, like, the cross-conference may have shown a lot of differences between the two leagues. They still have a chance. And that chance means quite a bit, because of course, let's see how they utilize it. Right now, I see good things, right? Because I do question, a lot of the times I do question how many compositions they're playing, if they're going to stick with it. But they don't really technically have to stick with anything up until playoffs, unless, of course, if their position is threatened. So if they can find a comfort point, if they feel like they're comfortable playing Newbee specifically, if they feel comfortable playing that early game, or if they feel like comfortable playing late game and say, hey, you know what, we're reconvening and we're saying that you know, we do like playing late game team fights. It didn't work out for us, but maybe perhaps we take the Veigar out of it. Put in an Azir or something, and we like our chances, right? That might be a decision they make, or a decision is like, hey, you know what? I like that Kindred. Like, we lost the Nidalee. I like Kindred. We'll pick it up, incorporate it in our early game team composition, and then that's just what we'll play.
I actually really like that as well because Swift was such a fan of the Kindred as well when she was a meta pickup. So now Clearlove's beaten him with it. He's sitting on the Hecarim. He's like, what? I'm playing the meta pick right now. This is ridiculous. I should just go back to Comfort and play the champions that I'm very, very good at because he plays those ranged damage junglers extraordinarily effectively. Of course, Swift has done most damage on his team in a lot of these games, and a lot of it is to do with his Kindred play. So we'll see whether she makes her way back into the meta. And actually talking about this as well, we are going to be moving towards 6.14. The really interesting thing here, Raz, is A, we've got Fiora buff, so she's going to be a little bit ridiculous.
Yeah, a little bit.
But also, Yasuo quality of life buffs for Newbee.
What?
I know. Think about it.
That is going to be feeling good about that. He's going to be like, hey, actually, this is a massive buff. And it kind of feels just like what was that one champion? Azir, right? Azir had a lot of bugs. Turned out all right.
And so as soon as that quality of life change came in, everything was fine. As we're having a look at some of the highlights from that last game, nice dodge of the Dark Matter there. Yeah, this is the same
team fight we've seen quite a bit. It really, they're just pretty much showcasing, like, sure, Moore came in with the flash. I actually didn't notice the
boomerang
coming right back, ends up killing him. So actually a little bit more props to Deft. Flashes over, gets the kill. So yeah, I mean, we're looking at this quite a bit, but it's really good play. And right here,
that spell shield, then that flash to get him exactly as far as he needed to go, Raz. Deft is pretty good at League of Legends.
And just before that, he was able to like narrow down the Veigar, take the kill, like spell shield the Vent Horizon quite well immediately as it comes out. Yeah. His spell shield usage has been really good.
And this is the last team fight as well as EDG just roll over the top of Newbee. And you were talking about this, you actually mentioned it before, and EDG just are so good at standing behind their tank line. And I think with Alistair making his way back into this meta as well, it is so scary for teams going up against EDG because Mako is a beast on the cow.
He's a beast on the cow. He's a beast on Braum. Give him a tank line, and he plays it perfectly. There were so many times in that set that he just body blocked the world.
Oh, yeah.
Like, I mean, you look at all of those players, and you say, well, yeah, sure, Deft gets MVP. Maybe he didn't get MVP on first game. But every single player on that team pretty much played an MVP-esque game.
Yeah.
Mako, I said, deserved the MVP on game 1. I think he deserved a little bit of credit in game 2. Maybe not MVP. Deft definitely got it, so that's fine with him.
Yeah.
I'm fine with that. So, yeah, EDG playing like a unit, and I like it. So that works really well for them.
Just fantastic play out of EDG. We are going to throw it to a short break, ladies and gentlemen, but afterwards, we've got Nexus Siege between EDG and RNG. Raz and I have barely any idea what's going to happen, but I'm excited for it. Don't go anywhere.